The Detroit Tigers sweep the Cleveland Guardians today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, July 7th, 2022. That's the year. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. A sweep. How sweep it is. The Tigers 4-game sweep the Cleveland Guardians. And to be honest with you, it wasn't like a very competitive series. We kind of obliterated them, especially the back half of the 4-game set. Had the doubleheader, obviously, on Monday. Took both games in that one. Pretty hard-fought games, I would say. I mean, especially relatively speaking. But, in the second game of the doubleheader, came back, right? They were up 3-1 at one point, came back, made it 3-3, and then added on later to make it 5-3 and get the win. And then in the first game of that doubleheader, got off to a lead and just held it. So, uh, really, really impressive series. And this team is ridiculous. We've now won 4 games in a row and 5 of our last 6. I believe that puts us 2 games over 500 since Riley Green got called up. And there was another one I wanted to throw in there that I can't remember off the top of my head, but just a hey, let's go drop 2 of 3 from Kansas City and probably deserve to be swept and look pretty uncompetitive for a majority of the innings in that weekend set, and then turn around and beat the team that is within games of first place of our division and several games over 500, and we'll just come in and sweep them, a team that's right in the playoff hunt and in the playoff mix for a wild card or for the division lead, at least before this series. Let's do that. That makes sense. Let's score 8 runs in a game in which Shane Bieber starts. Let's do that. That sounds super cool. Like, just, and like, Bieber didn't look like terrible, but this team just doesn't make sense, which is great, and that's why they're the Detroit Tigers, and that's why we love them still, and that's why they are gonna give us false hope, and that's awesome. I actually don't think that this is like an injection of false hope. I don't think that the fan base is like, oh, like, look out, we just swept Cleveland, like, watch out. I mean, this is still a team that's 13 games under the 500 mark, and puts them, I believe, 10 out of the wild card and 11 out of the division. I think you're gonna have to win a lot of games here, leading up to the All-Star break to get the fan base completely just like back on board with like the season is on again. And I don't think you're even really relatively close to that. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this game today, and it went really, really well, and that's awesome. 8-2. Last 2 games of a 4-game series, just absolute, blowouts. You won by 6 in this one. You won by 7 the game before, and had them with a backup catcher on the mound by the 7th inning, in whatever Tuesday's game. Very, very impressive. Shane Bieber. I think I just said Beaver. Shane Bieber starts this one 5 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Definitely not peak Shane Bieber. What a weird career Shane Bieber has had. What a just interesting interesting is a stupid word. A really fascinating career in the sense that it is. It's been a roller coaster. It was like kind of overlooked and kind of like nah, whatever. To very high highs, to like Cy Young candidacy highs, and then just like around the same time that Sticky Substance got heavily monitored and banned, his velocity dropped and his production dropped a little bit. But now he's kind of finding a groove again where he's topping out at like 89 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, but is still giving you like a 3.3, 3.4. I think his ERA after giving up 5 runs to us today is now 3.5 or just over 3.5. So giving you, an ERA around there, a sub 3.5 ish ERA. Um, I don't know, just a really, really weird career, and he's still got nice stuff. Like he really does. I just think it's an adjustment period with him after all of the hard ban on all that stuff. But I mean, he had 16 whiffs and a CSW of 30% in this game, so it's not like he was completely like we didn't just rock him. This was a game that was kind of a we had the 2 runs in the second, and then after that it was kind of a slow burn there until the fifth when it kind of exploded and everybody was able to get on base. So really really impressed by the guys to get on top of Shane Bieber because he's another guy. We talk about Tiger killers and I think that Tiger killer is kind of overused at this point. Like if anybody has like hits a home run against the Tigers in Comerica Park, it's like, oh my goodness, Tiger killer. Like that's just like thrown around like crazy now. Bieber's a guy that for his career numbers might not be like 0 ERA against the Tigers or in Comerica or anything. But he's a guy that was just the focal point of that era of Cleveland baseball that just beat you every single game, right? One of the longest team versus team losing streaks in the history of Major League Baseball, infamously, was when we didn't beat Cleveland for like a season and a half or whatever it was. Um, just ridiculous. So and again, he was just like the ace for that team, and so like that's what my brain always goes to. Actually, it happened twice. We went on huge losing streaks against Cleveland. So the most recent one, I guess. So that's just where my brain always goes when I think of Shane Bieber. I'm like, oh, like that's a Cleveland team that I did not like facing because it was pretty much a guaranteed loss there for a solid year and a half or 2 years. So really impressed by the offense to be able to get out on the front foot there and and really attack. The offense as a whole for this one, 2 extra base hits, 8 runs. Still not a very high number, and only one of them was a home run, um, and that was the Cody Clemens solo shot late. So even if you take that away, that's still 1 extra base hit and then 7 runs. The Tigers had 9 hits, 8 runs. 9 hits, 8 runs. They had 4 walks, so that's 13 base runners, 8 runs. That's a ridiculous. That's insane to have 13 base runners, almost all of them singles, and to still be able to put up 8 runs is actually somewhat unbelievable. That's remarkable. So it's a very impressive thing. It's certainly not something that's going to happen too terribly often, but it's wildly impressive. The reason that they were still able to score runs, a couple of stolen bases in there. Cody Clemens looked fantastic today, and really, he had the one throwing error that. So I guess I shouldn't say in all facets of the game, but at the plate, I thought he put together some solid at bats, and then on the base pass, I thought he looked really good. And they were kind of worried about him. They were throwing over consistently throughout the game. I was really impressed with Cody um, on the offensive side of the ball. Tucker Barnhart finally has a really, really solid game. He goes 1 for 2 with 2 walks, reached base 3 times in a day. Awesome to see that. His OPS is now up to almost 540, getting up there. Torkelson had a single, couple of strikeouts in this one, and not surprisingly, a ground ball to the left side of the infield. Willie Castro goes over. He was the only player that took an at bat for the Tigers today that didn't record a hit. Yeah, only one. So that's obviously not a title you want to hold when everybody else was getting hits, but very cool just to see the hit parade, and that is why this was able to work because it was not isolated singles, even though there was still a lack of extra base hits, as there always is with this team. They were not isolated and they were very much spread out, and they were able to keep the line moving consistently. Had a couple of walks missed in there, had a couple of stolen bases mixed in there. And the fact that everybody evenly all got a hit, like everybody went 1 for, except for Cody had 2 hits, like straight up. That's insane. You had 9 hits as a team and 8 people had hits. That's unheard of. That's it. Pretty remarkable, like I said. So that is why this offense was able to work, and that is something that is certainly far from sustainable. And that is why I don't think too many people are like rushing to be like, oh, like the Tigers are so back, and like this is like we're back again, and this is great. There, all the problems on offense that have been there all year are still very much prevalent and very much here, and are not solved, and are not gone, and are not going anywhere. So be wary. Have fun. Never don't enjoy a win. Always enjoy a win. Because it's very hard to win at the major league level, and Lord knows we have not seen too many wins over the last half a decade. But just tread lightly. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, let's get into the rest of the game, the pitching, etc. But first, I got to tell y'all about our friends over at Blue Nile. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond's shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is truly one of a kind. If you're looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Tigers listeners are getting $50 off of purchases $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. You can use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, it ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So you can shop stress-free. Find your forever piece at BlueNile.com today. All right, everybody. We are back here for our second segment at Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. So the offense was really solid. And like I said, pretty much everybody had 1 hit. Riley Green 1 for 5. Javi Baez 1 for 3 with a walk, by the way. Robbie Grossman 1 for 4. Miguel Cabrera 1 for 3 with a sac fly. 3 RBIs for Miguel Cabrera. It is unbelievable how clutch he is. I can't even think of the word I want to use to describe it. It is remarkable. And at his age, there is no power. And it's all singles. And every single time there's a runner in scoring position and Miguel Cabrera is at the plate, that dude is scoring. That dude is scoring. That it's gonna happen. And there's some weak sack flies, and there's some singles that get through the infield on the ground and whatever, but I'll be darned if they are not scoring at a very impressive clip still. So just shout out to Miggy, the GOAT, the absolute GOAT. Ugh, I'm just reminiscing now. Miguel Cabrera. the dog. Jonathan Scope with 1 hit. Cody Clemens, we already talked about. He went 2 for 3. He looked really solid. Spencer Torkelson 1 for 4. Tucker Barnhart 1 for 2. Everybody just decided they want to have 1 hit, and we want to just keep this line moving. And we're just going to string a lot of hits and walks together all in a row. And it's going to lead to 8 total runs. And that's like cool and fun and like kind of a neat little thing. Um, Again, that my problem with the offense just lies in the fact that it's still mm, sustainability is in question. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's get to the pitching side of things. Michael Pineda started this game, his second start back from the injury. 83 pitches, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. He had only 4 whiffs and a CSW percentage, called strikes plus whiffs, of 23%, which is rather low. That is less than a quarter of his pitches were either a called strike or a swinging strike. Average exit velocity was also over 93 miles an hour. It was certainly not the best Michael Pineda performance we've ever seen or will ever see. Um, the 2 walks is really what gets me more than anything, because as proven, he's gonna fill the strike zone. Mike, that is, we've talked about Michael Pineda a plethora of times, right? He is going to fill up the strike zone. He's not going to miss a ton of bats, but he's going to challenge hitters, and you are going to have to be forced to beat him. He is going to give you an opportunity to beat him, and it's up to you and the offense that is in the batter's box that day on whether they do in fact beat him or not. And he is going to fill up the strike zone and whatnot. So the 2 walks is a little like, really? Like, do we really have to go through that? But the rest of it is pretty on par. A lot of hard hit balls. Again, this is only his second start back as well. But a lot of hard hit balls, a lot of contact being made. 13 foul balls and 16 balls in play for Michael Pineda. Almost 30 hit balls in total in this game for him. Um, and that's expected. And only 5 innings of work. That's kind of expected when Michael Pineda takes the bump. And he only gave up 2 runs, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And that's the Michael Pineda starts that we're gonna get. We're gonna get, here you go. The ball is gonna be in the strike zone. If you do something with it, congratulations, tip the cap. You win the game that day. If you don't, you're only gonna score 2 runs in 5 innings, and you're gonna give your opponent a chance to win. And that's exactly what happened today. So 3.62 ERA on the year for Michael Pineda. That's obviously fantastic for the role that he's being asked to fill. We will gladly take it. Alex Lang, then, first out of the pen. I cannot stress enough how much I adore Alex Lang being the first person out of the pen. I feel like first out of the pen is like this new role now that is kind of being born right in front of our eyes, where for so many years it was starter goes as late as possible. If starter can get to through the 7th, then you have your 8th inning set up, you have your 9th inning closer, bada bing, bada boom. Then it became, some teams had a 7th, 8th, the 9th inning guy, or teams had 2 setup guys, 2 8th inning guys, whatever. But now you're starting to see a lot of teams go to like their second best or even sometimes their best reliever first out of the pen. And most teams still will, for the most part, save their best reliever for the high leverage situation in the 8th or 9th inning. But you're starting to see maybe a team's second best reliever be the first team out of the pen. And I love this move. I absolutely love it. From a strategic standpoint, bringing in one of your, and we can argue until we're blue in the face if Alex Lang is the second best or the best or third best, whatever reliever in this bullpen. But the fact of the matter is he's not like the fourth best. And he's somewhere in that mix, in that conversation for best reliever on the year. He's not the fourth or the fifth or the sixth best. And the fact that he's pretty consistently this year been an option in like the 5th, 6th inning, I love it. I think from a strategic standpoint to bring in a guy right after the starter that can go 1, 2, 3, and then kind of bridge you into the back part of the game where then you have all your big like highest leverage situation guy and then your other like hard throwers maybe. I really really like going to one of your better relievers first out of the pen. And so it's really, really cool to see Alex Lang continue. And, he will certainly continue to grow and he will get and has had this year his late leverage, like his late game high leverage situation moments. And his seventh, eighth, and ninth inning moments for sure. That has all happened, and he totally deserves that as well. Um, but when we have everybody rested and can throw, it's just kind of cool to see Alex Lang first out of the pen. I really like that strategy, and I've been a huge fan of it. So he looked fantastic as he has. Did give up the one hit, but struck out two. Stuff looks fantastic. One more scoreless outing away from getting that ERA back to a sub two. Had three whiffs in 15 pitches. He is simply the man. Michael Fulmer pitched in this one as well. A little bit of command issues for Michael Fulmer. I'm going to be honest with you. And the final numbers were all still good. Still didn't give up a run. One inning, one hit, no runs, one walk, one strikeout. But some command issues. And this is something we've seen with Fulmer every once in a while. But at the end of the day, he still throws that slider cutter thingy really, really well. And it's a fantastic pitch. And he throws it pretty much exclusively almost. And it's an awesome pitch, and I very much enjoy it, and everyone should. And it's located really well a majority of the time. Today, it just wasn't. That's all. No big deal. And Andrew Chafin then pitched. Chafin, uh, I thought looked really, really good. It was an interesting performance from Chafin because he didn't have very much swing and miss stuff, but the velocity was just like out of nowhere, crazy, way higher. Like where everybody was like, "What is happening? Why is Andrew Chafin just like consistently pumping? Almost 95 right now on his sinker and like 90, almost 94 on his four seam. Like that's high for him. So that was cool to see. That was awesome. I was pumped about it, but definitely something a little bit weird. We will get into the rest of the bullpen. We got a Will Vest return and the rest of kind of news and notes from around the team. But first, I got to tell you all about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, everybody, we are back here for our third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Okay, so really quickly, we'll just do roster moves right now before we get into the end of the game recap, and because I think they're directly kind of correlated to each other. Um, so Will Vest was obviously back, as we will talk about. He pitched the ninth inning, and Willie Peralta would go to the IL. Unfortunately, um, hamstring, some or other strain, I think was the exact word they said. He's going to the 15-day. Will Vest, poor dude, gets on a plane, goes to Omaha and takes two steps off the plane and then is immediately, like before he can even leave the airport, told to come back to Detroit and just hop on a plane again and come right back. So that is Will Vest, and he did pitch in this one, and he looked pretty solid. The other roster move. Austin Meadows is officially began his injury rehab assignment with AAA Toledo. That is obviously great news. You know, and I'm definitely Gonna tweet this out when it finally happens. But it hasn't happened yet. It's just weird to think, and this is not an excuse whatsoever. And I know for a fact that even with me saying right now that it's not an excuse, somebody is going to yell at me for making excuses still. This team has not yet played a single game with the intended opening day lineup. They haven't. They haven't played a single game yet. Riley Green and Austin Meadows haven't both been healthy at the same time. We had all the other injuries earlier in the year. We have not technically played a game with the intended fully healthy lineup on that level, like going into opening day. That was supposed to be the opening day lineup. We have not played a single game with that yet, and we're almost at the All Star break. So not an excuse. The offense has been brutal, and they deserve all the heat they get, and it's the reason that we're in such a deep hole already by July. But it will be just fun to watch and very interesting to see how the team performs when Meadows is back, and we do have actually our real lineup that was supposed to be our lineup on opening day. Hopefully, knock on wood, for a significant amount of time in the second half of the season. So that'll be nice. He is starting his rehab assignment. The other one is, well, I guess, let me think. What would you think the intended opening day outfield was supposed to look like? Do you think it was supposed to be Grossman, Green, Meadows? Because I think that's what it was supposed to be, and I think Badu was supposed to be more of a fourth outfielder this year after the Meadows trade. Well, after the Meadows trade was after Green got hurt, so it was supposed to be like, you know what I mean? But Green and Meadows and everybody healthy, that hasn't happened yet, and so Badu is crushing the ball in Toledo lately. He has been absolutely just, and the cool thing is he's been hitting really well, specifically against lefties down there over the last couple of weeks too. He's an absolute joy to watch at the plate right now. If you can watch Akil Badu take at bats in Toledo, I highly recommend it. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on too. Is how close is he to getting back on the roster? For who? That's Willie Castro. I think is probably the easy answer. He's not even an infielder at this point anymore. Willie Castro pretty much only plays corner outfield. So you'd just be replacing a corner outfielder with a corner outfielder. And Willie Castro, look, for a little bit there, he was the only dude on the team getting hits. I was okay with putting him in the lineup. We're at a point now where his numbers on the year are just not very good. They never were really that good. It's just in comparison to the rest of the team, I guess. Like I said, for a couple of weeks there, you could definitely justify putting him in the lineup. But I think if Badu was to return, it would be at the expense of Willie Castro. So we'll see how that plays out. Um, but yeah, I would expect that heel back relatively soon. If they don't do it before the All Star break, maybe like during, like calling him up and rearranging everything during the All Star break might be the chance to do that. We have a doubleheader really quickly after the All Star break too. We have 3 doubleheaders in the month of July because I don't know, forget Detroit apparently. That's ridiculous. But anyway, so keep an eye out for Badu. Keep an eye out for Austin Meadows. And oh, I guess we can finish. Will Vest looked pretty solid in his first game, quote unquote, back. Um, he, I thought there was still some command stuff that could have been tightened up and been a little better, especially on the slider. There was a couple of moments. The velocity on the slider was significantly up, and it was something that you notice at the ballpark. But um, besides the velocity, I thought the command for the slider still got away from him a little bit, but he didn't throw it too terribly often. It was mostly a fastball game for him. He was solid, and for a guy that he has a 3.3 ERA now. The only reason he got sent down is because we didn't really have a spot for him, and he had been struggling lately. So that just kind of had to be the sacrificial lamb there. But yeah, solid outing and a very, very impressive 4-game sweep for your Detroit Tigers over the Cleveland Guardians. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia. He's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for me. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Let's go beat Chicago, baby. Let's go beat Chicago game 1 tomorrow. Head into the weekend with a chance to take another series from another team that's higher than you in the standings. Can't ask for too much better than that. NHL draft Thursday as well. If you're a Red Wings fan, keep an eye out. Locked On Red Wings. Brian and I will be there. It'll be super fun. I think that's all I got. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch you tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.